who is deaf. Or if someone is using hearing but needs to communicate using speech, that person is not categorized as someone who is deaf. So at the end of the day, NSO produced this report saying there are 400,000 or thereabout deaf people in Malawi, but the figures could be more than that because of the categorizations that we use when we are recruiting members who are deaf in our organization. I think the best way to report this was supposed to say how many sign language users are in Malawi. So the 400,000, I think that could have worked, but not deaf people, because there are a lot of deaf people who communicate using different modes, not only sign language. So I should say that sign language is a language in its own right, and most deaf people use it for everyday communication. So spoken language and writing are also other modes of communication that other deaf people could opt to use depending on the level and the severity of their deafness. And now I just want to focus on the challenges that people face in Malawi. So my presentation on the challenges will focus on different categories or areas of support that people who are deaf need in their everyday life. I will start with the component of agriculture. We know that deaf people are human beings like anyone else. They need food for their survival. And the most deaf people are hardworking. The gardens have their own gardens that they cultivate different crops. And we know the responsibility of the government to make sure that all the citizens in Malawi, including those who are deaf, a lot of people who are working as agricultural extension workers or supporting people in the communities in terms of issues of agriculture, they don't know sign language, and it's difficult for them to relay the key information pertaining to agriculture to members who are deaf in those specific communities. I'll give an example of the IEP, the famous IEP that the government normally provides, the fertilizer subsidy. Most people are left out in these programs. Why is it like that? Because mostly when they're trying to recruit members from the communities, they go to the chiefs to get names of the people from the community. So the chief has the autonomy to decide who are the members of the community. And we must employment is one of the biggest challenges that we face as the deaf community. I don't have actual statistics of people who are deaf and having formal employment in Malawi. And others are also having some sort of informal sort of employment by doing their personal businesses. But the majority of those people that we know are not having a chance of getting formal employment, and they benefit much from small businesses, like maybe most of them the builders, carpenters, tailors, and the like. So mostly so I was saying that most deaf people don't have a chance to get formal employment. Mostly they depend on small businesses for their survival. Like kulima, kugerara, banga magano, sana, ukalipenta zina zote. Kama kwa ukanda they are working on having more survival. Today I'm better. Kuja instead. Nema challenges ambiriwa amene amabwera relate ndi issue mwina kampaka ya communication. Chifukwa kuti munthu ukhale They are deaf ambiri, especially when they're in class, when the teacher is trying to give instruction, most deaf people, they don't understand what to teach. My are so limited, right? So most people who are deaf, they fail to go further with their education because of the issue of communication barrier. And I'm being they don't have the SAE in MNC, to secure informal employment. I just want also to talk much about the issue of challenges in education, knowing that the hub for success is education. And once someone is failing to get good education, automatically the future is compromised. So what I want to say is that the curriculum is mostly used to teach learners who are deaf. For example, my booklet would be like a curriculum document that the teachers are using to teach learners who are deaf. So before they can translate the curriculum into the for teaching learners who are deaf, most teachers they have a challenge because of communication. A good number of people in Malawi who are teachers of the deaf, they don't know sign language. So in the end, they filter out information and your way curriculum content to they don't know how best they can communicate using that in sign language. So my way to communicate better. In the end, deaf learners are given less information compared to what other learners get, especially like hearing children. So mostly they just say if someone is able to do the alphabet ABCD, that's it. That's it. Someone else. In the end, one of the information that cannot prepare that child to receive information is with other learners. The other challenge is on the teaching and the learning resources. I want to emphasize that deafness, especially learners who are deaf or people who are deaf, are visual, and they learn faster if they are provided with information in a visual form like any other form. So if you go to our schools, you will see that most of the information or the teaching and learning materials that are provided to children who are deaf are in print form. So if a person cannot be able to read properly or cannot be able to comprehend, it's not easy for a person to understand what is provided in the book. But if the same information is provided in visual form, it makes it easier for a child to follow and understand what the teacher or the information in the book is talking about. So these resources, they need to be adapted in the language of the child to enable the child to be able to understand what is being provided in the books. So for example, if the content in the book is talking about bottle, if you can give the child the sign bottle, because that's the first language for the child, it's easier for the child now to relate what is in print. Like for example, the word that is written in bottle, to relate it to what he has said, because he will provide that information initially. But if you can just provide the information straight away without putting the information in the language of the child, it becomes difficult for the child to digest and understand what that word is. But if you can provide the visual materials, like providing information in the visual form in the same language of the child, then introduce print later, it's very easy for the child to understand and be able to absorb the content and master the reading skills with ease. So the challenge that we have is that in Malawi we have very little political will to support issues of deafness. So there is a mentality that people always say that deaf people are always expensive, and mostly they are left out in programs and activities because of this issue. From 1944 to this year, year 2022. The education system in Malawi, it has never endorsed any school that should be supporting children who are deaf. I don't know if some of you know any other government school that is supporting children who are deaf in Malawi. Maybe Makoha, you can help us with that. You know?
It's missionary secondary schools.
Yeah, but there is nothing like for the government, right? There are a lot of development activities that are endorsed by the Malawi Parliament every time, but there is nothing of that sort to support children who are deaf. So this is one of the biggest challenges that we have. And why is the government not having this political way? The same issue of attitude it comes into play, because they think deaf people are so expensive. Because we've seen the government doing a lot of development activities and supporting the education of other learners without disabilities. But when it comes to issues of deafness or disability in general, mostly there is an issue of cost, there is an issue of lack of resources. So in other words, we should say that the government must runs away from its responsibility to ensure that all the citizens are benefiting the same. So in this case, how do you expect us to achieve or realize effective inclusive education if the playing ground is not leveled? So if these things can be ironed out and the government comes in to support, it's easy for us to achieve inclusive education. So I would also want to say that there are a number of education problems that we see as a country. And all these challenges are coming from the systemic challenges that we have. So once we work on the system that we have, it's easy to address some of these challenges. So if the system is not favorable enough to accommodate all the learners, it's really difficult for us to move forward. So unless some issues or aspects in the system are ironed out, then it becomes easier to communicate. So instead of the government working hand in hand with the organization of people with disabilities and other stakeholders to find means and ways on how to address issues of disabilities and deafness in particular, I think that doesn't happen, and most of the responsibility is given to the missionaries who are championing the issues of education for deaf people in Malawi. The other problem I want to share is on the vocational training programs that we have in Malawi. I know Tibeta has certified programs whereby people go for vocational training and get some skills which can make them earn a living at the end of the day. But then the challenge is on qualification, because all these programs are pegged at a certain academic qualification for one to be enrolled for that specific program. So knowing that mostly people who are deaf, they are school dropouts, despite having the zeal and skills that could enable them to do such programs, they are left out of these skills, and this really doesn't help them earn a living and be independent. And sometimes there could be some opportunities for employment that could be found somewhere. And in most cases, when deaf people try to compete, they can apply for the position and they could be invited for an interview. And when they go for the interview, mostly they depend on sign language interpreters for them to be able to communicate with the panel and be able to respond to the questions that will be aired out. But now the challenge comes in because in most cases, organizations and companies don't really understand the disability of deafness and the role sign language interpreters play to support deaf people. So in that aspect, deaf people are always taught that if you want to come with an interpreter, you should shoulder all the cost for this person to come with you. And my question now is, in terms of financial crisis that we normally they face in Malawi. Maybe, for example, I'm invited for an interview like in a different district. I need to have transport for myself. I need to have accommodation for myself. Likewise, for the sight language interpreter, he or she might need transport and accommodation. And we go there to attend the interviews and come back. Can that really be feasible in that way? Or maybe there should be special provisions for the people who are conducting the interviews to know that when we are inviting people who are deaf, these are the specific things that they have, and they should already to appoint an equal to that individual who is interested for that position, be able to participate in that interview. I know that there are other deaf people who are able and they have the skills, but then there's a lot of challenges in terms of accessing basic needs. For example, I'm employed in a certain organization. It's a staff meeting. In most cases, when you ask the management to ask for the service of a sign language interpreter, they normally say you don't provide for that. It's your responsibility to do that. Because in our policy, there is no provision that says the company or organization should provide for such services. Talking about business opportunities. Most deaf people are having challenges to access business opportunities, despite the efforts that are there that they're trying to do some small-scale businesses. But then this is really not working because mostly it's a hand-to-mouth sort of process. So all these challenges are coming from the issue of communication barrier and the attitudinal barriers that deaf people face in their everyday life. So you might have the desire to expand your business, but then for you to expand your business, automatically you might need enough capital to do that. So we know that there is a lot of information that is provided on how people could go and access loans that could support them to do the business. But that information is not readily available to people who are deaf because it's not provided in their mother tongue language. And if you happen to have a chance to be included in a team of people who could be benefiting from some business loans and that kind of stuff, when you get there, the first thing is normally attitude, looking at you like, can this person be able to run a successful business and repay the loan? So once it gets to that, mostly you are left out. And there are also some, these days, there are a lot of opportunities where people go to different places to learn about different businesses, to expand their businesses, or if they want to become entrepreneurs, to learn some new business skills. But the challenge is that the information is not provided in accessible formats to people who are deaf. So they lose out a lot of this and they can't do much to expand on their businesses. Now we want to discuss on how to make meaningful inclusion for people who are deaf. So in order to realize an inclusive society and ensure that deaf people are accessing all the basic needs, it's really important to ensure that sign language is according it's right in the Constitution of Malawi and it's regarded as the national language. The way it is, sign language is also the first language or mother tongue language for deaf people. So once it's made to be a national language, I think its status will be boosted up and people will start recognizing and respecting it and in the end promote or improve the livelihood of deaf people. So we know that Malawi is a signatory of the UN Convention on the Rights of Disabilities. So the fact that Malawi ratified the UN Convention, it's I think on its own a mandatory thing that they should be able to provide all the needs that are provided in the UNCRPD to its members, including the deaf. And there is also need to ensure that the number of qualified and professional sign language interpreters in Malawi is increased. So the way someone with a physical disability needs a wheelchair or crutches for mobility is the same way people who are deaf need sign language to ease their lives. The same way a person with albinism needs sunscreen lotion and the materials that are good enough to cover their body and prevent them from catching, from being scorched by the sun and to cause cancer at the end of the day. It's the same thing that deaf people need sign language for communication. The same way blind people need braille materials and information, it's the same way deaf people need sign language for them to effectively communicate and to get different communications and information. So through the use of the system of sign language interpreters, deaf people can be able to realize this dream. So it's also important that when different organizations, even the government, when they're trying to give out information, that information should be accessible to all its members at the same time. Because most of the times what happens is that deaf people get limited information, while the hearing community gets all the information that is required. So, like for example, the weather forecast, you can know the weather forecast for the whole week because that information is provided verbally to a hearing person. But the same information is not accessible to a person who is deaf because it's not provided in the language that the person could understand. For example, issues of agriculture, issues of fertilizer subsidy, and all these other issues that are given out. For example, maybe there's a launch of a certain program or activity in the area. All the other people get the information, but in most cases, deaf people don't get this information. So it's really important, or I should say it's a must, that this information being given out should be in all the forms that everyone should access the information at an equal footing and benefit from that. I know most of us will be working as community facilitators in this particular program. I see our responsibility to ensure that we are promoting the issues of sign language in our communities. Make people to understand the importance of using sign language for communication and the importance of using sign language interpreters whenever we are having meetings and the like. Because if the deaf person is staying somewhere there, it's not easy for the person to come along without an interpreter and be able to understand whatever you're trying to discuss about. But if you know you have a person who is deaf in your gathering, make sure the person is in front, is able to understand from the speaker, and there is a sign language interpreter available to relay the information that is being given out to the audience for the benefit of the deaf person. And it's also important to get rid of the negative mindset that people always have, that deafness or issues of deaf people or sign language are expensive. Because if you're inviting a deaf person, if you're just inviting that person alone, I think that cannot work, because that person will automatically need someone to accompany him or her for easy communication. So in most cases they say, no, we don't have enough in our budget, so what we wanted are just 5 people, not the interpreter to accompany the person. We don't have that kind of budget. I think that mindset is really bad and it should come to an end. And as we're working with the communities, we'll be interacting with different people, including parents of deaf children and their immediate family members. Make sure that you support them to learn the language of the child and be able to communicate. I was really happy when I heard that most of the people who are in this meeting will be working as community facilitators. But then my question was, I'm not seeing anyone who is deaf amongst these people who are here. I don't know what happened. Was it deliberate or was it something that was an anomaly? Because you know we have a lot of people, a lot of deaf people in the communities who are capable and could have been part of this program and benefit from this, but no one is here. So I don't know. So my plea is that when we are doing disability programming, it's really important to make sure that we balance up and ensure that all the disabilities are represented and they are benefiting from that program. Because the needs are different And if you are describing your personal issues or problems from your heart, it differs from someone who has just heard about your issues. The way the passion is or how you are narrating the thing would really differ from the person who is having first-hand experience to the person who is just reading or hearing it from another person. So this is the same as when you are eating paper with your dishes. So if you're tasting people, you say, oh, Sabola Mawa, one I should want to try it again. Not just being told Sabola Mawa, because you like to understand the intensity of Wawa, but if you are not in that shoe. So in the summary, legal plan so what are the issues? The communication, we need to improve in terms of communication, having sign language as a medium of communication, and also ensure that the issue of attitude, especially negative attitude, is addressed to ensure that everyone is benefiting from whatever I'm doing. Yeah, I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
So we were clapping, yeah? Yes. We're clapping, yeah?
Yes.
Can we clap in sign language? Yeah.
Okay. Zoom Wabidi, our facilitator, Mr. Sekelan, for the important presentation. I don't know if there are quick questions. Are we confident that we can facilitate a similar session in our communities, in our districts?
As Lynn has put it, that us as DIF will be moving different communities facing the same challenges. I just want to know more that if suppose we are in the village, we don't know the language of these people who we don't know the science, we don't know. So as the inclusion is concerned, what can we do? Because he has put it to say that sign language is also one of the national languages Chichewa. So as inclusion is concerned, we want to know more about that.
Yes, you can respond.
Thank you so much for your good question. For example, when we are holding meetings, we voice out different issues that we have. In that particular meeting. So as a DDF, there are a lot of issues that you give out to your members of the gathering that we have, right? So how to solve this problem? So it's really important for you to learn basics in sign language. It's also important when you're having the meetings, you should have a deaf person present in the meetings, and you also have a sign language interpreter to facilitate communication between you and the person who is deaf who has come to attend the meeting. I don't know if I've addressed your question.
Yes, thank you for that response. And just to add that even on our program, it shows that we're supposed to have at least a session on basic sign language. So we're going to discuss with our facilitators. If you can have 30 minutes in the afternoon just to look at the basics. But as you also understand, we have so much that we're going to discuss even after you have gone back to your districts. We are calling this Disability Inclusion Academy. What it means is that from time to time we're also going to be supporting each other. We are already in touch with them and we'll continue to work with them so that whatever gaps that we have, they can come in and support. Alright? We cannot cover everything within these 6 days that we are here. Right, do you have any quick question? Okay, because Babira's Mandamina, now covers. So these sessions really are important because, as I said, you're also going to facilitate senior sessions in the districts. But also as an individual, we need to understand how best we can work with people that have got different impairments. That's why we even asked our colleagues to also join us, because they drive people, they work with people, even in the households, they can interact with people with different impairments. They should also be able to understand how best they can work with them. It will be important. Okay, so we are going to the next session. Who's coming from? Who's ready to come? And so, Mr. Simon, Mr. Tom, yes, is coming to lead us into another session. Mental health session. For the next 20 minutes. As I said, he's going to focus on how best we can include them in the economic empowerment programs that we are implementing.
Thank you very much, facilitator. My name is Simon Tom, as already alluded. I work with the MEHUCA. The MEHUCA is an abbreviation for Mental Health Users and Cares Association. It's a non-governmental organization, and it was registered in 2012. And our postal address is Box 2430. We are based in Blantyre, in Development House, just next to Chayamba. Second floor, room number 207. That's where we are based. And our main area of program are awareness campaign, training, advocacy, and economic inclusion. So I have the addresses of the executive director, on which we can get later after this session. So Mental Health Users and Cares Association is a registered patient advocacy organization established on 27 February 2010 and was officially launched in 2012. And is a DPO, which is under FEDOMA, which is the umbrella body. Now, our mission statement for MEHUCA is to enhance the welfare of people who have mental health issues, psychosocial disability, and mental health problems to enable them to live rightful roles in society. So we also encourage that the people with mental health problems can express themselves rather than somebody speaking on their behalf. Now, for us to understand what is mental health, it encompasses a person's emotion, psychological well-being, and how one thinks and acts. You will agree with me to say almost all of us will behave and act based on what we think. So mental health will cover almost everyone is involved in mental health. But the only difference is the degree of our mental health problem. For example, I'll just give you a very simple example which we can understand. Some of us were read stories of gender-based violence. So gender-based violence, normally we think it has to do with women. Am I right or wrong? But now if other side, you find men committing suicide. If you go down and do the research, you also find that men are also suffering, especially in our marriage setup. You find people trying to harm themselves. Why? Because the woman is disappointed. And at times, you find also men beating women, at times even financial neglect, or staying for longer periods out of their home. And if you wonder, you understand that there's a mental health problem. If it were in church, I would say hallelujah. Because reasonably, somebody whose brain is working normally, the very person who had told the wife, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, to say, I love you, now instead to be an enemy, you'd wonder what is happening, and then you know that person is a problem. So mental health does affect everyone. We normally go home very late, tell the wife I was at work, and yet you are not at work. Is that not a mental health problem?
It is.
So mental health is the degree. So I normally say everyone is affected, but what the difference is the degree that is involved in that mental health. So I want to look at why is, before I proceed, let me see. Let us understand what is mental health. Some of the common mental health disorders, some of them are anxiety. Anxiety at times is, let me put it in more simplified. When you have something that is worrying you for too long. For example, you have been told to say at your company there will be retrenchments. You start thinking, am I not going to be involved in that retrenchment? And the fear of losing your job at times may cause mental health problems, isn't it? Because when you think, how will I support the family? And then that issue comes, especially when they say you are one of the people who has been retrenched for 5 years. You become depressed for too long. Even if the woman tries to say that it's okay, we go home family. But men, you always want to be on the positive side. So depression is another factor that brings a lot of problems on mental health. When you think too much, in Zimbabwe we call it ufungisisa. You think beyond. You say, even during the night you fail to sleep because you are depressed, isn't it? And especially women in times when they start thinking, they'll ask you at night, because there was a simple problem. At 2 a.m. midnight, they'll ask, what do you want? Why? I thought it's time to sleep and you have a giant night. So, depression is one of the things that normally bother us. So, when we have such problems, it becomes a problem. And the other thing is bipolar. This is a disorder normally which does affect our mood. So, mood is another thing which normally we need to treat it very cautiously. At times you may say, today my boss is not in good mood. If I want alone, I'm not going. Depending on the mood in which he is. At times when he's in good mood, he will sign with paper for you and give you the loan. So bipolar is the mood disorder. And at times it becomes very severe. So that's one of the causes of mental health. And the other one is schizophrenia. This is when a person's ability to think is affected. Our mind is affected by different factors in life, especially when we have problems which we think too much, we become affected in the way we think. So, depression, bipolar. Depression is when there's something to make up to move it. Ndio kumundwa kwa mimi ziko za kusokonesa. Pamene bipolar ndi mundi imene mtu imapa kusinze mamundo siyanjira. Lero sadi mundi
Atokea manzere.
atokea manzere. Leo mamundi amapalo siyanjira. Especially as my own family. Who will let them go? Chitendi today, mudi masifu. Como kukula chitendi, very person who is wasanuka wabu. Yemu jama kana kutuba saka kuyati. Leo mambo yote amaiwa. Mudi ya sinta. De umesesa kuti kuzikala on the positive note. Kuti tunaye chima kumugisa so iweyo sakiti. So chima chanjizira kukala kuchita zimene zozo. Komanso futo lina limene limakala kwa anthu amene ali ndi survivors a mental health imakala discrimination. Kusankhidwa. Discrimination komanso stigma. Schizophrenia ndi zimene makupangisa chimene chimandisa kwenikweni sitidziwika koma umapezeka nthawi zina kuti uganize bwino umangopeza kuti munthu wabalalika chimene chikubalalike munthu akuyeza ukupeza kuti dabalalika
kuyiwala chimene mafunzo pamalo
ena zinthu zazing'ono simkazi wakukana munthu mubala
oya
so zinthu ngati zimene zimakhala mavuto so we need to control ourselves chifukwa umapeza kuti ena akaganiza kwambiri umapeza kuti mwina mpaka unapanga commit suicide kodi kuti chifukwa chenicheni chimene munthu apangira commit suicide koma kwambiri komanso mwina sana apeze munthu amene ampase mwina imene timati counseling kuti vuto ili ndani munthu amwene lisiyeni akazi wali kwambiri mcheza mwina koma mmene ukomutakamira munthu chifukwa choti wayeretsetsa kumuzoti ayi tikayeretsetsaso sinapsha matero achewa jatimeti sinapsha so zinthu zazing'ono zimene zimabweresa mental health problems. Ndiye ambiri timene kuti tikhale ndi counseling session chifukwa chake ngati mehuka we are looking for funds timatsegule center kumene munthu telefoni ngati ali ndi problem kuti ukhoza khala ndi munthu akambe nawe ndikukuthandiza ngati leyo ndapanga Christian counseling komanso kukona difexe takati kuphunzira counseling osiyana-siyana so I can do the counseling ya normal komanso Christian counseling ti munthu timthandize asakhale ndi vuto loti mpaka afike kotimangirira chifukwa when you problem if you share with somebody that problem imakanga mwaivanga hafu so counseling imafunikira kuti ndizili mwititsana ndiye pamene mukupita anzasu amene muzikagwira ntchito mumapezeka kuti kuli anthu amene ali ndi mavuto amene health ena mwina ndi mwana amukutsekera mnyumba koma chiyazeni mwana wakazi ali ndi mavuto amubongo kapena maganizo angwiro masiku ano sitikugwirisa ntchito chichewa choti misala tikumvane amene muzipita mafacilitators tikugwirisa chichewa choti maganizo angwiro. Ndekati muntu alibe maganizo angwiro. Tapeza ena amamanga mumacheni kuwatsekera. Imene just solution. Koma anthuwo atengeredwe kuchipatala. Kumene akosa kulandira thandizo kenaka akachira amabwerera ku community ndikwamagwira ntchito zawo. Mwachitsanzo muzaka zambuyo pansi pa Scotland Malawi mental health project tinapeza ndalama zimene anthu amene anali ndi mavuto ngati amene wawa amaganizo angwiro tidawaika ndiye tinagulira makasu fertilizer ndikuwapangira haya minda anakagwira ntchito bwinobwino kukhala productive. Ndiye kukoza kuona kuti munthu amene nthawi zina anali ndi vuto loti analibe maganizo angwiro pamene walandira uphungu komanso chithandizo cha kuchipatala amatha kubwerera kukhala munthu amene akoza ntchito zake popanda vuto lina lililonse. Komanso denda chimene tidachita malingana ndi maphunziro awo level ya maphunziro awo timapeza anthu tiyerekeze amene ali timawafunsa chimene iwowo angakonde kuchita. Ndiye ena amanena kuti ineyo ndikufuna utera. Ndiye onse amene amafuna utera timawapanga group ndikapeza munthu amene amadziwa zosoka ndikuwapanga attach kuti akhale munthu amene kuti azifunzira. After that tiapange empower kuti akuzokhala pauka ndikumasoka. Amene akufuna training timawapanga chimodzimodzi akakhala ndi munthu amene akusoka kawa kapensi ofuna zamajamba akakhalanso afunzira for a period. Akatero adzipinda ndi apezera mathuba akapita. So empowerment, economic empowerment imafuna kuti anthu awa wina aliyense must be included. Koma chifukwa cha discrimination ambiri tinoona kuti munthu anadwalapo ubongo sakagwire ntchito tiyeni timusiye. Zimenezo kumakhalako. Ndinatenga ka script kena kake ka documentary kamene kapanga amebuka ni Ministry of Information. Unfortunately, sina chite we went before the documentary so Dr. Banaru kanayo documentary. Mental health ndulumali kumene sumaonekera. Endi ambiri timakubereka kuti mental health ndi munthu amene amayenda mu misewu kutola zinthu koma si choncho ayi. Mental health ndi chinthu chimene sichimaonekera koma nthawi zina signs zochitika zimene zimaonetsa kuti munthu uyo ali ndi vuto. Ineyo ndi mmodzi mwa anthu amene ndinayambisa bungwe la Mebuka. Nditakaphunzira am mental health survivor. And ambiri samakhulupirira kuti ndinadwalapo koma ndadwala nakakhala kuzomba mental hospital kwa chaka. And nditatuluka kuchipatala nditachira nakanga oda engineer ndanira treatment yamati onse mblanda. Ndiye kukoza kuona kuti munthu amene anali ndi health problem ndabwerera mu ntchito anthu onse mblanda angumama madzi ochokera kwa munthu amene anali ndi health problem. And after that, just to show you kuti that's not the end of the world, nditapanga retire napita ku school nakapanga diploma ya theology ndikukakosa munthu amene anali ndi mental health problem zoteka. Sinateka ndinakosa. And this January in May 2022 ndilindika clip abona koza kukuona sana napanga graduate zomba theological bachelor's degree at divinity imene ndakoza credit ili kumo ndikamaliza presentation ndikuonetsa mphepa zino nakoza ndicredit and anandipanga offer malo pano ndingofuna mafunds ndipitiliza masters and after masters ndipinda for PhD so koza kuona kuti nthawi zambiri anthu timakuwapondereza kuwatsekereza pamene anthu akoza productive so pamene mukupita ngati mafacilitators muonetsetse kuti ana onse sakutsekereredwa mnyumba apitise kuchipatala. After treatment, psychiatrists, nurses, and doctors amawathandiza and amabwerera kuka productive. Ndikofunikira kuti mental health anthu akhala kuipanga sideline, koma it is now that it is gaining prominence. Koma so kuti mukaone mu budget, it's less than 0.5% ya budget ya komo. Imene mental health amaipatsa. Ndiye mental health panokoma challenges ena amene tikuwapeza imakhala kuti ndi ndalama pamene cholinga chathu chotifikire anthu ambiri komanso mobility kuti kanakhala ndi galimoto kwezi kuendera maujeni ambiri koma documentary imene tinayipanga tapasa TVM adayionesa we got a lot of phone calls anthu kumanata imene mwamboipanga maipeka sizoona koma it was the truth. What mtaiona my late wife mukanaona kunena kuchitira umboni koma ndi zinthu zimene zimachitika on the ground. So mental health ndi imodzi ya zinthu zimene iliyofunika kuti tiyang'anire kwambiri chifukwa imapanga affect moyo wa wina aliyense mmene timaganizira mmene timakhalira ndi mafeelings ndi mmene timachitira pa moyo wathu zimakhudza ubongo wathu. Ndiye ubongo wathu ndofunikira well-being ya ubongo kuti ziganiza bwino chifukwa ndikapanga kutero dziko lathu zilingatukuka. So chilichonse chimadalira mmene ifeyo timaganizira koma vuto lalikulu limene timakhalapo ndi ma-attitudes amene tili nawo, negative attitudes towards people amene ali mental health problems. Pamene that negative attitude ukamayichita zimaonetsa kuti iwenso kuti mental health problem. Chifukwa kana kapu kulibe mental health problem ukanayang'ana with a positive view. Ndichifukwa chake mental health imapanga encompass life ya munthu ina ili aliwonse. Last time I think mtangoiwala kumchitaka chani Pokuno Central Region tinamva bambo wina wake auti anadula mkono wa mkazi wake. That was a mental health problem. Amai kukamapanda kuwapikia amuna nsima foyo tabwera kuchito mochedwa mental health problem. Abambo mkamai kalsoma ndalama masoko sosa apasa mai. That's a mental health problem. So pozabona uti mental health problem imapanga kapa zambiri. So let us support mental health. Chifukwa ndigawo limene limatichitira siku ndi siku zochita zathu zimene timachita mmene timalumikizirana our relationship ndi anthu ena, how we work with other people, how we respect other people. Zonsezi it has to do with mental health. Koma ambiri timakhala tikuwanyoza pamene munthu has an inherent dignity must be respected. Kandi mzimai, let's give the head due respect. Kandi abambo due respect. My employees are apazilo ulemwao that my employees. Komandi ya mene timu mabwana, timu ona ngakua chiko mwengosa funikira. Forgetting that these are the very people who support chiko za TCN. Mfanya yake mental health imapanga kapa zitu zambili. Mambo kuna person within that 20 minutes. For Mambo that is dinner, I'll ask Simon Mzaga, team the executive director. I'll bring ahead to the door. But the actors are always there.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Unfortunately, I didn't introduce myself. For many Martin, Simon Tom, and I was on full koma ndine mbusa. I'm an engineer wamadzi komanso pano ndaphunzira ngati mbusa. Ndine mbusa amene ndili ndi degree ya divinity kupitiriza kutsogolo kuno akanipasa mpingo ana anu tizibwera kuzadalitsa kuwabatiza. So because I want to mental health problem is over. So tisapande sideline ndianthu amene ndikumigira zinthu zambiri komanso ndakuza kuti ame board member wafeto ambrella board imene ma disability ali the umbrella board komanso amene ndalama zambiri ndi masayiniranso ndikukoza kuona kuti kodi munthu uyu kuti anayengeze problems kutenga panje I'm still productive. Ndiye ndipitiriza kukhala productive pamene ena amafuna ndikondereza koma pano ndikupitiriza panonso ndimaka celebrate zaka 65 zopano. Thank you very much for listening.
Hallelujah. Yeah, Namusa and at the same time, my boss, I report to him, to people like Mena. Mena is also a board member. Do you know that? Is it yesterday that we learned about the models? The day before yesterday, is it? The day before yesterday, we learned about the models. Yesterday, we learned about the models. One of them was the social model of disability. And when we're talking about the social model for disability, those with physical disability. Did you get it? Those with physical disability. To say, because there is this principle, I am not disabled. It is the society which is disabled. And you hate Reverend Tom talking about that. Another only that if there is a change, if there is somewhere where we have to make a change, it's the society. That's the social model of disability. That's the thinking in the social model of disability. You should not force you should not force her. She has a physical disability. You should not force her to reach a point of starting walking on her 2 feet. Instead of just fixing the structures that are there, the steps, the roads with drainage system that are open, you can simply just fix those problems instead of expecting her to walk on her 2 feet and so that she jumps over those kind of obstacles. Are we together? Yes. That's the thinking in the social model of disability. And where this thinking is affecting more, we really need to do it a little more, is in the area of psychosocial disabilities. Persons who have mental disabilities. That's one other area where we need to address this problem. And I liked it, he made a mention of one key principle of the UNCRPD. What did this talk about? One key principle of the UNCRPD. What did he talk about? Just close to at the end of his presentation. He talked about persons with mental health situations living a dignified life. Did you want it? A dignified life. And I always say, Kuti, Here is somebody who has a mental disability, and he continues experiencing neglect, continues experiencing discrimination. He made mention about that. What would that lead to? Will this person have his situation improved? I always talk about, okay, mention about issues of gender-based violence. You've heard of people getting up to the Zomba Mental Hospital just because the husband has been ill-treating her. We've heard about that, eh? Don't be surprised, this woman has been facing a lot of abuses from her husband and all those kind of things. But all along she's been fine. And she gets to this level where the situation has gotten worse. That she becomes hospitalized at Zomba Mental Hospital. What about this person who already has that kind of a situation? Aliyese, aweze kaunti iye kufika basili mungu. Aliyese basili mungu wadani. Wakawa. Tinazo nazweze. Mungu awubwera side iyo, kanse ugaga muno. Kungo muona. You kutawira kachi. You don't want to meet that particular person. Whose problem is it? The one who is shining the other. The one who is shining the other is the one who is the problem. Muntu uyuyu kwa yeye zake zilijani zilikuwa mwili. So yeye uyuyu already has a psychosocial disability. What would be happening mind to mind? What would be going on?
Being discriminated.
You're worsening the thinking. The emotions are being worsened. You're worsening the situation. Persons with disabilities are a problem. Where do the problems come from? They come from the society. So here we're just talking of psychosocial disabilities. I'm telling you, some of us here have ever thought of it. We will be anything over. That's an example because of what we're experiencing. Eh? The discrimination. How being held by the society. We never thought of it because of the disability we have. Here there was my brother saying that. He was explaining his situation. Then you should imagine Betty is not here. Imagine Betty is not here. Betty is outside. And almost 3-4 hours we are having this session without saying knowing what is happening. What will happen? You will be disappointed. Eh? You will be disturbed, you will be confused. You will be laughing here, you will be seeing that your mouth is laughing. You understand that? Yes. Those kind of things are things that can easily lead to a mental health situation. Do you know what I'm saying? So when we're talking of all these accommodations, they are there to avoid lots of problems. So we are talking of those with psychosocial disabilities. Let's make sure we include them. We understand the accommodations they need. I always give one example. I've never taught Reverend Tom about it. That almost 2 years, within 2 years of our stay in Atlanta, there was one guy who was selling airtime somewhere. In fact, he was initially selling my car. And this guy, the whole community, the whole neighborhood, saying, you cannot associate with that guy. He's mad in courts, yeah? He's mad in courts. Later on, we heard that this guy is a graduate of Polytechnic. No one was associated with him. But one of the afternoons, my wife went to this guy and said, Uncle Alusi, can you come home this evening and have dinner with us? And he said, me? No, that can't happen. And he came home. We had dinner with him. And when we finished, he was giving. We said, Uncle Alusi, every evening you should be coming here and have dinner. And that's what was happening. After a week, he said, Mr. Munda, I must tell you, this is the first time I have felt loved in my life. And I'm telling you, that's how his situation started changing. Timon, you are here. You know the guy. He knows the guy. The way he was before is not the way he is now. He's changed. He's totally changed. Sometimes he can even drive me to town. You understand that? Why? Because the society was disabled and he thought he was disabled.
True.
And for us, we felt he was not disabled. And his situation has been improving. So I just wanted to add on what Reverend Tom talked about. Zambizi, timaziononga toka tilimoze, ambambili tukwapweteka toka as a society, as a community. Thank you very much. Over to you, Vincent.
Okay. Ali funso lebanga zimene Reverend Tom atigaire kumaso Mutamunde.
Sana bange mwinena azitindi timangonena mwantagwala and mental health angonana. I want just to prove certificate mendimanena iya University of Malawi. Our dear degree, your vice chancellor, accepted and the name is here. Was a owner, Simon Tom is the credit. So, Sintabal and this is Logitica. Then Gamati will be a masters.
Amen, Reverend.
But before it's me, Reverend Dr. Chapel. So, I got disability. Disability is not disability. So the sky is the limit. The John the 10th will say Asanati ananile basi. Komaziti ananile kamanga. Sio kweli? Yetu. Chikoro ndikamano wa mchachi kuchie chapati moderator hadi sana. Kakala amanosa amena ime kubeka. Yetu ndi sasa ananile basi. Let's encourage that.
very common issue of disability. I think these two issues are maybe treatment or the environment that is not accommodating enough persons with disability. It's likely that they can lead to mental issues. So it's really important. You can imagine, for example, somebody has been attacked, what is going through, what our membership is going through. Somebody has been attacked, nothing happens, what happens? People will be disturbed in mind. You find you give somebody has died, and our computer kula mariwacha ndio mwisho kulipo ni mwana achibala akaona what is happening ndio ndio kwa kitaka alienda wapi ma example mimi na mwanangu ndio somebody akakuita kwa sababu just because we have not accommodated him or her enough. I mind that is a sort. So I think we really need to take my issues are mental, very seriously as a disability movement. So that in our programming, it's between my issues that are many. Otherwise, it's my responsibility. They will be filling out this. So that we'll make sure that these issues are addressed. Thank you so much.
So, I
I want to ask the question, ways to reduce depression each and every day life.
Okay, so the question is, how do you reduce depression in your life?
Yes.
Okay, the facilitator has taken all of that. We can have a discussion maybe over lunch. In the interest of time, we need to progress.
Mine is a comment on the issue of societal attitude towards the persons that we have a disability. Yeah, it's really deep that sometimes the community is the one that is disabled because we address without even approaching them. I will give you an example of myself. What the number of our father went to another woman, thinking there was a story about that woman. Yeah, so what happened is that we used to see now the having here to my card mental moved class. Before telling you the class that the end of my you stima young plan of one stima is actually the whole society and denying my friends will keep up. Ukafufuza ntani zange zimakhaona kuti amati kuti saka kuti mukabvana naye mbapita sizitekato akabona ndii zimapanga kuzimani mbaini kusiyana nizanozi sizitekayo ndakuzozunda kuti when I did my standardized exams, I passed very well, and then I got selected to St. Private Seminars, where I am now. Now, that girl, I know from that moment, me and the spirit, even I'm the face in our society with regards to international boarding seminars, stuff like that. So people start saying, what's the matter with St. Patrick's? See now, multitudes and multitudes of learners and students from different CTSs, different primary schools do come. This is just an eye, one of us will know here. Imagine I find a come son, they have been assisting in the way that they are giving their assistance. So sometimes it's better, and I do encourage you facilitators to mukapita kumizi kunja anthu amene ayandikira anthu amene ali ndi maulumali akwazimulira encourage them kuti before musanalenge kuti munthu is incapable, first approach that individual, see what are capabilities that are that particular person, because that's the only way that you are going to know and benefit from the person. It's not just a matter of judging things. Of course, sometimes we judge a book by its cover, but no, in all cases. Let's first approach those persons with the disabilities and see what are the capabilities that are in them, so that we should seek ways of how to help them. So, yeah, I just wanted to comment on the societal attitudes. Yeah.
It's very important indeed.
I have a question. I was calling Simon.
Maybe your name? People should be able to.
Yeah, hence yeah, Simon talked about Mehuka and gave a definition of Mehuka, Mental Health Users and Carers Association. But he did not mention who are the carers, who are the users. So maybe in the interest of the house and the society where we are going as pacificers, it will be important also to mention about who are the users and who are the carers.
You can summarize that in 1 minute?
Yeah. The users are normally people who go to the hospital, who use the facility and get medications. And then some are survivors who cease getting medication. But the carers are the people who are taking care of people with mental health problems. Normally it's the parents, the guardians. Thank you.
Okay, so that is also very important because in the SPARK program, we work with the persons with disabilities themselves. Okay? So our role is to mobilize persons with disabilities to benefit from the economic empowerment programs. But we also have caretakers of people or persons with disabilities. For example, like children. If you involve them, if you involve the caretakers in different economic activities, it means you're also empowering these young people that are living in the household. So I want also you to understand that kind of approach. So thank you very much for making mention of that. Okay. As he said, I want to surprise you a bit. As he said, Lucius is still a student, a Form 4 student at St. Patrick's Secondary School. So you can also see how he has been able to facilitate a good session, isn't it? Very audible, very interactive. So these are the people that you can also look up to and take them as role models. All right, so straight we will hand it over to Mhangu, because she will also share a bit where she's coming from. In 15 minutes. I said 20 minutes, now we're 15 minutes.
Hello. I'm Kamfarima from Sanje. Name Blackman, teacher of the environment of the I mean, I black flashes from what I can so I mean, I second flashes from in the powerful, in my car, Sanje. Mhafukalima, I'm a village in Madame Sanje, I'm another woman. Komaso ndiye vice chair wa Sanje District Disability Forum. Komaso ndiye vice chair wa Shinamada Onse na Sanje. Komaso ndiye amenetima imila Ashinamada Sanje ku District Council. Ndikubira kuti kuluma asikulepera. Ile chokolo kulonda bwera kuti ndifotokeze kukhali ya ulumali wathu waife anthu afupi marital state. Anthu ambiri amanena kuti ifeyo sife anthu aulumali. Koma ifeyo tokati makana timanena kuti ifeyo ndife anthu aulumali. Pali zinthu zingapo zomwe ndifuna ndifotokeze kutsogolo muno zomwe zimatipangisa ifeyonso kuti tikhale anthu aulumali. Chinthu choyambirira ndikusomeza Nzanga amene ali apapayi Bridget tabwe. Ine ndi Bridget tonse ndife anthu afupi koma ndife anthu awiri osiyana chifukwa chani ndikunena kuti ndife anthu awiri osiyana aliyense pamene papa ali ndi ulumali wake mukati analisisa kuno bwino. Bridget ali ndi zala za sukulu zomwe zimakwanisa sofera pa pafuzimu kuti tizionera ndi ulumali muno. Ineyo zangazi ndizosiyanako ndi za Bridget ali ndi miyendo yokonda koma ineyo ngakhenda va adresentali ndi mwendo okhota ndikhulupirira vese akuthakuona ndiye pamene popo ngakhala anthu amene akuti ifeyo anthu aulumali koma ifeso kuti anthu aulumali. Chinthu china Bridget ndi ineyo mphamvu ineyo ndi munthu waukulu ndilibe chipumi. Bridget ali ndi mutu osongoka ali ndi chipumi. Bridget maso ake mukaona ndosiyana atineyo ndikomera kuti maphunziro alero angapeza kunsanga. Chinthu china chomwe chimatipangitsa anthu aulumali waufupi ndikusapera tokha poyera. Ineyo ndi Bridget ndife muna role models amuno Malawi chifukwa ineyo chikoyamba kukumana ndi mzanga wafupi konse momwe ndakhala ndikuyenda kukumanako ndi mzanga wafupi ngati Bridget timakambirana banja kutizakhala bwanji. Ndichani chomwe chimatitikisa ifeyo anthu afupi kuti tisapezeke m'malo ngati ano kapena kumalira kuja kuti tisapezeke kakuma VTCs kapetcc kakuti nchifukwa chani wani vuto lilifeyo aine yake timazonera pasi ifeyo anthu afupi timazonera pasi chifukwa chani timazonera pasi society mene akambira kale mafacilitators asinzana. Ineyo kuti ndifike form 4 ineyo ndinaphunzira kulimba. Mwina Bridget akakhambo skulu yake anaphunziraso kulimba. Kuba tinalingofika kale primary school kuti timapasidwa maina azitonzo zosiyana-siyana. Akatwa.
Maybe you stop a bit. I'm really interested in this, and I wanted Eric and Ivan and Peter to be following. Yeah, and do we have any volunteer to be close to my brothers? Any volunteer to help in interpreting? I know Eric is very quick at picking Chicheo, but would really love that it should be followed.
Can we use the volunteer, Simon?
Yeah, choose.
There's someone else from Makoha on my left.
Okay. So we have volunteered you. Who is that? Mseteka or Chilam?
The one you just mentioned.
Mseteka. We have volunteered you.
Tinalekeza kuti ndichifukwa chani ifeyo anthu afupi sitimakhala nawo muzochitika chitika. Wani chifukwa cha society mene ngatisalira. Akangotiona anthu ena amatipatsa mayina osiyana-siyana abatwa akafula amadionera pasi ndondosha. Just imagine someone to call you ndondosha mangamve bwanji. Koma popeza kuti ndine munthu ndinabadwa mwa munthu sochimwa ndimachivomereza. Ndiye ndikofuna kupanga kwenkaji mafacilitator amene mukupita kunja kukumana nathu aulumali osiyana-siyana. Mwina mukakumanako ndi munthu ngati mphamvu sakakuyandikirani choncho mukayesese kumufikira munthu uja kumulongosolera bwino wani ndife anthu amashort tempered sitimachedwa kukwiya sitimachedwa kulira sitimachedwa kupanga zinthu chiganizo munacholapita kumene olo kumangozitsekerani nyumba chifukwa choti cha society imene imatipangira. Ndiye mmene mukupita kunjapo chonde ngayeseseni nafeso kuti mukakunena fechito mukati muzisi mukati kwanizwa anthu ena amatukwana anthu ena amatenda andulwa ngati kwa mphamvu kuzipejeti chinthu china chomwe chimatifuta ife anthu aulumali wathu machallenges ena omwe timakumana nawo ponkhani ya machronic diseases ngati niyo mphamvu ine ndikuwongosolera panopo mmene lingati tepenukire kudwala mwina mutu wachingalangala mwina anthu nonse mumomo mutakutaba kuti kodi mphamvu walotsedwa zimangochitika pompopompo olokera ndi mimba kungamba kupweteka munagamba kutsekula kandi miyendemwe mafupa athu sitimatha kungamba zinthu zolemera ndiye mukapita mfiudimu sizoti iwonse umene uonekera mphamvu ngalephera mpaka ndichi akakambuza noti sindikwanitsa mukamumvere kuti sakwanitsana but anthu ene vinimjeraiti sakakwanisa lokwinyama fuka kuti mafupa athu timaoneka nyamferefiris na koma zote niyoninganyamlepera amati siningakwanitsi kuti ninganyamuleka chidedolo kusenza pamutu pakapa since I was born sinasenze kushekenga mutu paka chifukwa kuti ndingakusenza mutu unatipweteka musadziwika ndi zinthu zambiri zomwe timakumana nazo ifeyo anthu aulumali wa afupi chinthu china chomwe chimativuta ifeyo musalembedwa ntchito umatha kuphunzira bwinobwino kuphunzira kupanga apply munduwu kuyitanidwa ku-interview kufika ndithu papanelo pati kupanga nawo china chilichonse koma kongokuona kokha chifukwa cha maonekero amatisilungati kupilana timathiwa kuti interview chandinaphosa amatisungabanitse munakula nawo ntchito kungokuona koma ineyo ndaniyambo kaposition angapo palile vanemakumani madisizi koma ndinowafupi ndimakwanitsa ndiye niyo mukapitaso kunjapo mukati pangireko nkalejazinzatu chinthuso chinachomvesa chisoni ababa zinzathosewa amizinzoseo yaulumali mamafotokoza kuti fetting association imene yeisukwa ife marital people the big child tilidolo association imenezo minaso ndikwake kuti timangodisala sitimatha kuzionesera abanje timasowa kuti kodi tiloyina kutiko kapena tipanga bwaji enafo mina chifukwa kuti kanenganene kuti kuchijikika kapena kufunako kudziwa kuti ndidziwe kuchina chake chifukwa timapezeka kuti tinawo malo ngatiyana tinawo malo engawo ndatchula aja tilibe association yathu yathu chisomo chikati chafedona imatiganizira imatitola koma nanzaka amene kali kuchitika amene sakudziwa kuti vuto langa lakufunika kwangapa ndilo ilanayo kuti mwina paka kapezeka anthu ena akakuthekera otithandizira kuti nafe tikhaleve ndi association yathu yathu mwina zinzathu ena jamakanika kusikulu ati chifukwa titofunikidwa kungofika pa primary school timalondedwa ngati njuchi nditiyana mumadziwa kale mwana ole neyo ndinakhala kuti ndinakadwa mtata kuti ningomona munthu wafu olo una wake uwona kufumira wale kuna wale kuna ana jama kaa kudaba amai wana wake moti anendifusapo komenda ka testimony amami ndiwe mwana mmakhala uziganiza mwana wachita kutomega shitfezna amami eti ndiwe mwana pena makatola sitini komefoni tochivomekeza kuti leo mwana wanga isakutiwa nimapeseka zoti ndikupanga naye sawana chani umabana koma ati manga pena sokukazimvera chisoni pena pakoloti wang'ono ndisanazizikile zoti koti ulumali wanga uvotali ndikamaona choti anthu akunditsatira akundiowoza ndimafika poti mwina makolo angaja wanena kuti kodi zinakhala kuti munthu umwana wonse wamayi ndimadalali watati ndimadalali zinakhala kodi munandiphikira chifukwa chotaphela amazinina kuti ndinendondocha munandiphikira ndifuna munduzililo chifukwa chani ndimaoneka osiyana ine ndinani ndinendondocha ndetimakumana ndiziponzo zosiyana-siyana zosalemeka pamwe yathu ndichondi pamene mukupita kunja kapiteni naveshini musakati tifuna kuti nafeso tidziwike kunjapo kuti kulisoka lito pipo mmalalumo ndisangokhala ndipiriteteka sindikutwasoka dalibweleni ninalodaba nditangolowapo kundomwana akakhala moja anandozoto mphamvu zampezaso zabo kuno sindinakhulupirire chifukwa chotimene fera inake timazimvelera ndiye mukapita kunjapo chonde kalipikitseni mafumu kali kusenjeko zinango sisinokudziwa ngati anthu aliko koma zoti ndikuti mmodzi analiso kalikala amene ndinakaona kachinyamata wachinyamata naona chitonzo chija chikole chinandikhalira mumtima mwanga chitonzo chikole chinandimera mumtima mwanga kuti ndimanyozedwa ndimamvakuwa ndebasiso ndinangoona ngati kuti munandichingambuwe koma wachinyamata amene ndinamuonapo koma panopo ndimafufuza popeza kako kusamuseni yathi yomwe isiyosala kuti ndikampitira munasakandithapo sindimaliza koma futhi inomuli muno ndinomaso wathu ndinomakutu wathu katithandizireni kokutibhezera kwathu amenathi kuti mwana sitipereka mafoni namba zathu kuti nasoso zithaso kodani kumangwalimbikitsa kudzera pafoni mwana tsiku lina mulungu akadzati athu nafeso tidzakhalamo ndi association yathu.
You have one in Canada. Canada will have one.
Oh, in Canada you have one. Cheese. Cheese one. Maona. We are different people. Mama, chintu chinasi chomwe chimandipeteka kwambiri. Ineyo umata kufusiridwa muja kuti munabanja paine pakamutetefiri mwana wanga uchi bambani amaenda pakuchera amatha kumangochi koma makolo ake ati tinakumana tikugenya makolo akanangofa kuti wapereka mimba watsika naumumani oneka bwa mafupi atandibisire mtundu ndamvani mawu iweyo osaenda ungalekaso munthu wafupi ufuna adzatibisire mtundu testimony ngapakisamadziwa ndinachivomisa timatozedwa muzinthu zosiyana-siyana banja muchito china chilichonse chomwe anthu akangotiona amatinoza ndefeyo tifuna kuti mukalimbikitse kwa anthu amene ati kuti ineyo banja mukubereka kukwatira munthu wafupi sizoti mungaberekeso mwana wafupi testimony kusi wafupi ndipo testimony ndi wamtali ndipo tikuthakuona kuti chijalati kukosanana koma popeza kuti munthu mmene kanenakale kusinabadwa muchimo kungokhaniza malingaliro athu okusamulungu limene anthu amatolera mosiyana-siyana koma alimbikitseni kuti ifeso pafupi tingakwanitse kuti tingapezeke kukhaso zinatengera atisiya ine kochiko anachezana neintervina yake koma sosiyana short akati immediate akalaphula zinthu zazilwaje mukhaso azikalaphula zinthu zopindulitsa zotani koma chifukwa choti zinatengera mphamvu tikumvetsetsa tikuphunzira kwakwa nakuba wamugera transati amalakiza omene zingakhalire kufunikira kwakeso kwaine mpaka panopo pena ndimazidabwa ndekati kunatisiya tikumatha kubwera kanthu akuluakulu timapezeka zoti ineyo ndekha ndili mmene momwe oyilira anthu aukunayo ndashinamata anakonjose kusati pena ndimanene chifukwa chani mulungu zikukhala chonchi koma ndikamaenda kunjapo anthu amandiona ngati chinyala ndife kufuna kuti muchotseko kamzimu kamene kati ngakhale just imagine umuntu wheelchair otisayenda mphamvu akuyenda amathawa amadzi akukanena mwana wanzake kuti akamuyipitsira mtundu akakunena mwana wanzake kuti si munthu akusiya mwana wawo ti sayenda zinthu zambiri amathandizidwa ali kulolingani pamene nekhali mazifusa odi yamwana mtumisira mwana wawo tunachisunga besaka naye anganibapanga ndikaniza kuti netine sitingabange banja chifukwa dzayipitsira mtundu siningamumisiri chifukwa inesozvatisapiriti tisikathandizana bwanji ndikhulupirira kuti 15 minutes yanga yati koma ndifuna kungokulimbikitsani kuti kalimbikitseni sikulu chifukwa kuti ineyo sikulu yanga inandivhundirapo ngakhale ndinasatira kubrother secondary school chinandivuta ndichi inandikaaproti 04 ndinakumana ndinachibadzochi mwana mmodzi amene anabadzikwapo atatu ndinanimene alosimemeno ndimatambirira kumachezanano apapa olokukasimuta ndabwerezako fofoka ngapa koma kukwerenga pachankumanga kinakona kuyiwala koma ndikati kungapira standowani yanga mpaka na form 2 yanga ndikakhonza kwambiri koma ndikangokupangidwa atatu ndisadalize mumeneja mpaka vazizinto zinazinandifuti ngakhale form 4 yanga ndinakhonza ndochititsanganyazi ngakhale ndinangobezereranga zisomo ndiye mukandi ndikuti azizanga kuti azindika sikulu.
Thank you very much, Pampo, for a powerful presentation.
Simon, you can mention your hand.
Pampo. Pampo is strength. Yeah. So I've worked with Mambo for quite some time, and issue of the association is one thing that we've been talking about. The problem at the beginning of the year was not that good for me, but still more. I think we'll forge ahead with that agenda together with Bridget now. Bridget, yeah, we'll talk, we should discuss and forge a proper way forward about that. Maybe Bridget, you may have some additions.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm Bishop Fowler. I just want to add more or compliment on what Fowler has already given us about persons with shorty stature. Just to start with, as she already said, we are all sorts, but we are different. We are all sorts, but we are different. So, as we are going out as GIFs, we should treat this disability differently. Mugapesa and Kiafuka Afumi will lift Zikutumila Jasiku. I've seen Musu Mela business in Gafu, Mazareko, Mila Kato, Magano Lawi, Yama, Maka. A very disability in my, if I take 2 packets of sugar, they are heavier than me. I can't carry them for a long distance. So I'm saying, if we are failing to carry 2 packets of sugar for a long time, it doesn't mean everyone who is shorty cannot carry 2 packets of sugar. Others are able to do that. So please, the treatment should be different. As we were learning yesterday, they were saying it's good most of the time to ask a person with disability how she can be assisted, not just assume what we know. The other part that I want to share is on employment. She talked about the problems that we're facing in employment. I should also give my testimony. Because I'm one who is on the job market, who is having mental issues. When our reverend there was talking about mental disability, I could be taken in some of the occasions that I'm going through. Disability issues and mental disability. I think everyone who is undergoing my problems of disability, a mental problem come available. It came to a time, I think last year, when suicide was just close to my door. After losing the only job that I was feeding my family. So if I'm whenever I graduate, I have a degree in 2010. I have a degree which I obtained in 2010. From 2010 up to now, I've never secured a job that is satisfying. Anyway, we cannot say being satisfied, but a job that is fitting my paper. Because I've been a teacher, but in the private sector. When I'm some of my private, you know what are the salaries in the private sector and what are the treatments like, which they do not fit in what paper I'm going to have now. So I've been teaching, should be from 2011 up to last year, which is 2021. On the same institution. I don't know how much I was, and I trust. That was the only place where I was trusted to customer issue. But it was after the interview I did in Boma, the interview I did in private sector, I was going to interview in private almost at the level. So I was going to interview also at the level. When I said, I think I'm just questioning, and then I'm going to write let me just leave everything. So last year is when I lost that late. Of course, the new management come in. And new management people when I learned for somebody, how are you managing to teach? Personally, I was thinking like they're just inquiring something. I didn't know that they are putting some stigma in it. It was just some months after our when I was told which contract together was about a new contract. That was last year. And that was how I lost my job. I have 2 children, my biological ones, and I have one who is for my sister, but he is being taken care of me. So psychologically, I'm no problem, how am I going to take care of my children? And that time they were like studying age. Now they're in secondary school. Anyway, whatever happened in between, we can discuss later. Komano and mental disability. Ndauziwa kulenga bangapo, mtawaka interview, watu za kusini. Dama presi, nila alembele kwa kusalima. Naka kusalima just because I'm not salima au mafuta zanga wina. Zanga mjadala tena allow them to listen to me for this and they called me. Akuja na nikuona kwa kanitenga batepo. They wanted you to send me back to Israel. Sanitaniza kuno. Because the next time they told me to say go back. And I'm like, anyway, if you want to visit back. Then I got to them for 1 year. But in the course of teaching is when they discovered that students like me a lot. Students were motivated. And it's when they were disclosing to me, but I am. See, as I would be in the phone. So that was the first evidence that showed me putting them and having a better employee to find out a perception of the last month, I applied on the secondary school just nearby my house. There is a friend there is teaching. And as I was when I come and disability, we are just chatting. And then we'll say, what you're saying is true. You know, school, you know, application letter in a party that discuss for me, the way to recruit you, don't bother to employ her as a teacher because as she is, she can't manage doing that. And the discussion went on and in the debate, the negative part one, and then I was not taken for teaching, which means the perception of them is negative. Anasema kwa nani na mambo niseme. Nzanda drama wanafika kwa vogeleza kuna kaka fupi. Si kufuna watu mnena hizo tofauti. What we go through next asitana kama chivogeleza kama ya machaka mjinai kwa sauti lazima kisikayo wao Tanzania. That's why we are going kima vogeleza zimene anwa kupanga for us to fit in that society. Every day I face challenges. Every day. I also. I should expect two things. I also people roll up cut up your back. Throughout. Think of it. You are having a child and then people that. So it gives a bad perception even if you are family children. So there's a lot of things that we are going through. What we ask as GIS, let us try to teach or mobilize the people out there. I think it's good to raise that statement and come up with better technologies. Thank you so much. I just wanted to add.
And these are empowered two ladies. They are able to speak for themselves like this. How do you think the situation is out there? It should be bad. You understand, eh? I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. These are very disorderly. But
what they are doing is rising up. So if we feel sorry for them, we are actually making them feel sorry for themselves. They want to be performing at
in fact, they sound very disorderly. Eh? So I wanted us to emphasize on this point. Yeah? The emphasis is not on charity, the emphasis on rights. Are we together? And it's painful to me that my sister had to be deprived of renewal of contract just because she has a disability. And I think we'll see how we can do it. But one other thing we really want Mambo and Bridget, we make it a point that we expose, we bring your type of disability into the public domain more and more through the media. Are we together? I think we can do that. We can do that. We talk about it. As we're talking of the organization, we should also be talking of you being more visible. More and more visible. As an associate pastor to the pastor here, I can say, Bridget, don't worry about what you went through. It is all for your own good. It is all for your own good. It's going to help you be much better. You're not supposed to be there and be given peanuts. Right? Yeah. So I know God will take us through and things will be better. Mama, Roger, Mama. Yeah. Things will be much, much better. Over to Vincent. In 19 I hijacked Vincent. Because I had a lot of interest in this.
Yes. Well summarized, Mr. Munde. Yes.
I just have a question to the VIS.
Okay, let me just hand over. eventually.
Yeah, yesterday I mentioned something and I said, better even if we leave it at any point, but if we're very sure we have put the thing on. So, based on the story and testimony that Bridget has shared, especially around employment, from the legal frameworks that they took us through, where is your position as disability inclusion facilitators? Actually, the question is, if you knew these frameworks and you were a disability inclusion facilitator then, what would you do to that institution that didn't renew Bridget's contract? Huh? I want to hear from DIFs, not Makoha, not even Vedoma.
Who is ready to respond? Paul.
Better off to sue.
Sue. Based on which article? Based on which law?
Especially on the Employment Act. Especially on the Employment Act, which tries to say much on the rights of persons with disability.
So as you go to the courts of law to sue them, what is in your mind? As a disability inclusion facilitator, you're going to sue them. Yes, but what is in your mind? These are the challenges you're going to face. And I want us to attack them before they come. It's not only Paul. He has given us what the solution would be. But what is on your mind as a DIF as you move to the courts of law?
As a DIF, I am Charlie. It's like bridging it out and bringing in awareness that we are all equal.